All right, welcome back, tubers and tubettes. For some reason, I seem to have lost my voice on this recording, so I'm just going to have to narrate this as we go along. Here's my brand new Toe Jack that I ordered. Took me a couple of weeks to get this sucker in. Here's the unboxing of it. Brand new, I've never used this. Good thing they had metal straps on it because that plywood there is not very thick. It looks like it's Luan. So it just falls right off once you take the metal straps off. All right, so here we go. Voila. This is the unveiling. Brand new. I've never used this before. Look at those nails. Man, little tiny things. All right, so you can see how this thing works. You can slide it up underneath the wall, and you got a lot more motion there than with a regular jack. Because regular jack, you got to be able to stick it underneath the wall. All of mine can't seem to do that. So this seems to be the ideal device to use in my particular situation. Anyway, so we're going to get it set up for you. And something that I didn't realize just until I got done using it for today is that pump right there it has a tendency, you can swivel it around. I didn't know it swiveled. A lot of other jacks there, they stay in place. But this one swivels around. I did not know that until later. So we'll get into that. All right, so here we go. We're going to get it set up for you. See, I got it underneath the sole plate of the wall, but as we will soon find out, the sole plate is enough for the wall, but it's not enough to hold it for picking the wall up. Even though I'm centered underneath a stud, you start putting 5,000 pounds worth of thrust into that thing, and that sole plate's going to start crumpling. Well, we figure that out. I'll get into that. I'll show you. I start sticking a 2x4 under there, and that gets squished. So we went to the 4x4. So most of this first part of the video here is just how we discover that. Like I said, I've never used this before. I'm kind of learning as we go along, but this is good for you guys. You can see how it works well, how it works best. See, that piece of 2x6 I got standing up there is what I need to have as a spacer. So I need to get it underneath the wall to begin with. So here we go. Crank, crank, crank. So you just got to check everything, make sure it's going well. Something that I find out right now is I'm reaching the maximum limit of my jack, height-wise. And I still can't get my spacers in there. So I realize that's when I got to go get the 2x4 and stick it underneath there. Now over to the left-hand side there's no sole plate there, so I've got plenty of room to stick my spacer up underneath there. So I start stacking things over there, just in case I want to move that jack or something like that. I can bring the wall down and it'll still be sitting on some kind of a spacer. Four by four, 2x4, 1 by whatever. We'll stack anything underneath there. All right, so as you can see now, that sole plate to the wall is starting to crumple a little bit, but I can't seem to get it up high enough to get my spacer in there. That's when we change tactics here. I got to get a 4x4 or something. All right, so clean everything off. See, that's my sole, that's my sill plate down there. I put a 4x4 on there, but I still got to lift it up a little bit. I got to get a space enough, big enough, a 1-inch space, so I can get my jack up up in there, you know. So we go to the left side there and see if we can pick the wall up. Get a couple more pieces of stock stuck up underneath there to create an opening so I can put my toe jack in there. And as you can see on the left-hand side there, that amount of wood that I got stuck up in there is enough to span at least 2 wall studs. That helps with stability quite a bit. Got a couple of slivers of 1x up underneath the 4x4 there on the right side. So now this is where we get to move the jack over. But something I figure out though is that, see, I got plaster and lath up there on the wall and it's loose material. So what I got to do is tear it out of there so that the jack can fit closer to the wall, you know, for stability reasons. I just got it precariously stuck in there. And I go about figuring that out here in a few minutes. Now, here's something that I'll figure out a little later, too. It seems like the more I jack up this wall, the farther it wants to creep out. It's bowing out a little bit. And I get a little bit of a twist in that 4x4 down there. So I'm having to deal with that a little bit at a time. So here in another minute or so, what I'm going to do is start tearing off that plaster and lath, and so I can get my jack up underneath that wall a little bit better. But first, we gotta stack up some more wood on the left-hand side there. I'm sorry, the right-hand side. I don't want to lose any progress that I've already gained, so. And you see how much daylight we got there on the right-hand side? I completely dug out that the sill plate and the rim joist, whatever was left of it. And then I go in and I start carving the roots out that also is there as well. Because that, you can see that soil was backed up against that house there. You know, it's been vacant for 33 or for, you know, better than 30 years. So, and that side faces the woods. Plus, there's a couple of trees growing in right next to the house. You know, saplings that should not be there. And that also helped in building up that soil and dirt up against the outside wall there. All right, so I take my 1x's out of there. I get a 2x4 stuck in there. But then you see how that 4x4 is at a little bit of an angle? I don't know. Makes me a little bit concerned. Look at that wall. It's starting to creep out a little bit. It's not a danger to me, I don't think. But I realize that it's not going the direction I want it to go. So I let everything settle. I take the jack out of there and try some other things here, see if they work. Now I've had to edit quite a bit of this, because I spent a couple of hours, doing this, trying a little bit here, a little bit there. So I had to cut out a whole bunch of it here. So I only got it down to about 30 minutes, but I took all the boring parts out. But this kind of gives you an idea when you're trying to do this yourself. Now just be aware of what's going on. Like I keep saying before in some of my other videos, it's common for the wall to creak while you're doing this. Whenever you're lifting a part of the house, you're going to get a lot of creaks. It's the snap, crackle, and pop that you got to watch out for. And something I learned earlier in life, always have an exit move ready. If something doesn't go your way, make sure you could step back at a moment's notice, Safety first. So I do all right on this. I discover that, it's not always going the way I want. So, but I get some spacer up in here. And then, all in all, I wind up leaving it like this. And then I want to move down to the left-hand side there. See how that wall's coming back in while we're doing this? Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. Well, it's not like I can put that rim joist in there right now as it is. I'll have to pick that wall up a little higher on the right-hand side before I can start putting in the rim joist. Once I get the rim joist in and ready for one or two pieces of subflooring, then it'll all start to, come together. Eventually, that's where we're going to get. Just measuring here, making sure everything is kosher. I got about 6 inches total, but I need 6.5 for the, like I said, for rim joist and subflooring also. I got enough room for rim joist, but I got to squeak that subflooring in there. That's the hardest part of this whole project. Oh, geez, I'd have been done with this whole thing if all I needed is a rim joist. But it's that subflooring. This is the way we do things now. The wall's got to sit on top of the subfloor, which is all right, too, because it helps hold everything all together, Keeps everything lined up. And that's kind of what I'm doing this whole thing is I'm just making sure everything's lining up. It's a good thing I'm working near the corner here because the outside wall to the left there kind of holds the outside wall to the right together and vice versa. And that's a good place to be working at right there. So again, here we go. We're going to jack up this side for a little bit. Get some more spacers in there. Well, what I'm trying to do is keep in mind that I want to get that 4x4 out of there on the left-hand side so I can get my rim joist in there, but I'm not ready for that yet. All in due time. All right, so we're just going to fiddle with this a little bit. Everything's lining up just right. So here's where I'm pulling that plaster and lath out again. I do it over here on the right hand side. It's exactly what I want, so I'm going to have to do it to the left hand side here in a little bit. And as you can tell, that sole plate on that right hand side is still pretty good shape. It's not rotted. I mean, it's not 100% solid, you know, but it's strong enough to hold the wall together. I'm not too concerned with that. You know, it's an older house. You know, it built 90 years ago in the early 30s. I mean, I don't want to leave rotten wood back in there, but if it's solid enough to hold the wall together, the studs and stuff, then you know, it'll do what I need it to do. So as you can see here, I pull everything out, and there you are. There's the roots in there. I got to get rid of the roots. They kind of pushed their way in through that soft, mushy rim joist that was there, and then they crawled along the concrete foundation there. So I just clean it all out, make it nice and clean there. I got to do that all the way around to that half of the house. So little by little, I'll do it like in 8-foot sections, you know, so I can do a sole plate or rim joist, take a full sheet of subflooring, tuck it up underneath there, lower the wall down. All right, so we've just passed 15 minutes here of this video. It's kind of boring and tedious, but you know, it just kind of gives you guys an idea of working with a new device like this. I mean, this particular jack, it's called a toe jack. I think it could be utilized in a lot better conditions. You know, for most do-it-yourself or homeowners. You know, if you got one corner of the house that's sagged about an inch or two, this will give you an idea. Get in there and just kind of push it up a little bit. In my case, it's worst case scenario. You know, I gotta go all the way around half of the house and redo all of that stuff. But you know, it's something to do. Keeps me busy. You know, I'm retired, like I was saying. I don't work for a contractor. I don't have to report to anybody. I do what I want when I want. So, as I've mentioned earlier in some of my other videos, you know, I'll probably wind up living in this house. So, you know, I'm 67. You know, I got maybe another 10 years, 20 if I'm lucky. I'm in pretty good health. I mean, I do have diabetes, you know, and I've got other typical failings for an older gentleman. I don't have as much strength anymore, and I get tired easy, you know. I'll work on my house, I'll bang away for a couple hours, go home and relax and watch YouTube videos. Go figure. All right, let's just see if we can get this last spacer in there. Get this thing jacked up. Seems to be working really good too. All right, so we give up on that. Let's just stack a few things. I'm just kind of measuring it out here. You know, I laid down a 2x4. That'll imitate my sole plate. Not sole plate, but my sill plate. I'm sorry, sill plate. And it's still, the wall's still not high enough to get a 2x6 in there. And that's going to be my rim joist, but I still got to go another inch higher than that. And as you can see, my sole plate, or the wall, is starting to bend a little bit. So again, I change a few things. Actually, what I probably could have sped some of this up, but I didn't want to have to go in there and find out all the different minutes where I want to speed it up and chop up the video. And see, when you add speed to it, you only have to do one clip at a time because it'll do it to the whole clip. So you got to separate the clips into the ones you want to speed up and the ones you don't. I'm just not into all that editing right now. Just want to record, give you guys the best idea. You know, we're learning things here. That's the whole idea of my DIY channel here. Kind of show you guys how we learn stuff. Trial and error. Be safe. All right, so we're tired of futzing with this other side over here. We'll get it all stacked up here, get some spaces in there, and let the wall down. There we go. Let her down. All right, so now I'm thinking that I gotta support that corner there underneath that 4x4 a little bit better before I finish this little project here. I mean, right now I got enough space. You know, I can move down to the left-hand side there and start fitting it for a rim joist. I'm about ready to do some more subflooring in the bathroom there, so we're going to get to that here shortly. The next video, actually. So I'm probably going to go back today and record some more video on the subflooring in the bathroom area. We got to put that second piece in there. I'll show you. I get it all set up for you, and then we'll start recording. All right, so we're coming up on 25 minutes of this video. We only got another 5 more to go. It was 30 minutes total. Like I said, I could have sped it up and chopped out a couple more pieces, but I want you guys to get a good idea of me using this because I'm kind of learning myself. Like I said, this is brand new to me and figuring out things. So when I was looking online for this toe jack, I didn't know what it was called, and I didn't know what I was looking for. I was looking for all those other kind of hydraulic little buttons you can stick up underneath the wall, but dang, those things start running into the thousands of dollars. You know, I'm just an old guy living on Social Security. I can't be going buying all that stuff. And it doesn't look like any of you guys are stopping by to my Patreon. So, I was hoping maybe I might make a couple of dollars on the Patreon and get some tools that are, a little bit more worth it. This works. You got to be able to do with what you've got. So that's what I'm doing. So anyway, here's what I was saying earlier. I got to take all this loose stuff away from the wall so I can get that toe jack in there a little farther. Eventually, I'm going to strip the whole wall down, put sheetrock on it. So all the plaster and the lath is going to come off. But I need it. It's kind of holding the wall together right now. You know what I mean? So I'm using it as stability for the meantime. So here we go. Rip, rip, rip. Get all the little loose pieces out of the way. All right, so enough of that. Getting set up here with the jack again. I found a couple of nails in the way on that stud there, so got to pop the nails out. So anyway, like I was saying, I'm sitting on top of my sill plate. It's pressure treated. It's even got the sill gasket underneath it there, so I wasn't ready to lock it down yet with the sinkers. But it's holding up quite well, so all right, so here we go. We're going to pick this wall up. But as I've mentioned, as I'm picking this wall up, I'm noticing that it's starting to bow out a little bit. Not exactly what I was counting on. I'll have to address that issue a little later. Like I did closer to the bathroom, I sucked it in with a trucker strap. I might have to do something similar over here and a little farther into the bedroom here. So upsy daisy. We're going higher and higher with it. A little more plaster falling off the wall. That's to be expected. What I got to be careful about here is that I got a window right up above there. I got brand new windows in. I don't want to crack my window. Well, the good thing is that I got all my siding on the outside. It's holding it all together, so it doesn't flex too much. Once I get done with all of this, I'm going to come back, and all I have to do is put another piece of siding on down below and trim piece. Now, as you can tell right here, my jack is starting to lean out a little bit. See that? Look how that wall comes back in. That bothered me. But everything looks good. Once I let it down, the 4x4 is sitting flat. Everything's flat, lined up. It's good now.